Maximize your potential and focus on your performance. Look into your future and power up your purpose. Power people, let's change our mindset, people. Let's empower people to see all their potential. When they power up and then you're official. Maximize your performance and focus on your potential. Look into your future and power up your purpose.
Hi, welcome to the Power Up Show, Maximize Your Potential, where innovation meets transformation, and you have one goal, and that's
to power up.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Cheryl.
And I'm your host, Eric.
And we are excited to be here on EM-Spire Magazine, DreamSpireTV with you today, because we have an incredible guest who's going to join us shortly. Mr. David Meltzer is the co-founder of Sports One Marketing. He also served as the CEO of Leigh Steinberg Sports, a 3-time best-selling author, consultant, and business coach. And we have the opportunity to talk with him about his mission to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. We're also going to talk about how he helps businesses and individuals actually maximize their potential. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss. So we definitely want you to return after the break.
Welcome back to the Power Up Show, Maximize Your Potential with Cheryl and Eric. Be sure to like us on Facebook at Power Up, Maximize Your Potential. And check out our recommended tips for self-improvement, our Power Up posts that include motivational tips and best practices to help you maximize your potential. And you can also view the recent shows we have had with some amazing guests doing some amazing things. And speaking of amazing guests, we have a treat for you all in stores today.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, right? It is my pleasure to introduce to you today a special guest, David Meltzer. Now, David Meltzer, he's the co-founder of Sports One Marketing and formerly served as CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration of the movie Jerry Maguire. That was like one of my favorite movies back in the day. I love that. Show me the money. Now, David's life's mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. And this simple yet powerful mission has led him on an incredible journey to provide one thing. And you know what that is? It's value. And all of his content and communication, that's exactly what you'll receive. And as part of that mission, for the past 20 years, he's been providing free weekly trainings to empower others to do just that and be happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so let's bring in David.
Hello.
Hey, David. So good to have you with us. How you doing, man?
I'm phenomenal, and I am here to inspire everybody and empower them as well.
All right. I like that, David. You know exactly what your assignment is.
David is on it today. And we've got some questions to ask you, man. We've had a chance to talk on LinkedIn and throughout, and some things about your profile and things that you've been doing really interest me. And so I wonder if you can respond to this. I know throughout your career, you've had your share of successes and challenges. And you mentioned that you became a multimillionaire in your 20s, and then you went bankrupt in your 30s. So what did you learn from this experience, and how has it impacted you or influenced you the way you help other people?
You know, for me, the thing I learned most is my relationship with money. Money itself is a currency. That means it's an object of energy that we put into flow to get what we want. Since I grew up poor with a single mom, 6 kids, a woman who worked as a second grade teacher, packed my dinner in a paper bag with my siblings, shoved us into a station wagon, and then filled up turnstiles with greeting cards. I learned one thing about money. When I was young, money bought happiness and love. And in fact, making $1 million out of law school, becoming a multimillionaire, everything in my life revolved around money. I defined myself by my ego. It edged goodness out of my life. My ego was, in my employment status, I defined myself by the position I had. I defined myself by the G, what I get. And then I also defined myself with the big O, what other people think. In fact, I went from a world of not enough, where I was a victim. Everything happened to me. I never had enough of anything. Why me? Why can't I have this? When I was a millionaire, to a world of just enough for me, where I would give to receive. I know a lot of people believe, the more I give, the more I receive. I actually learned when I lost everything that it really isn't that it's not a trade or a negotiation to receive, but instead I focused in on an abundant world in between limitlessness and infinity, where I receive so I can give. And that was the main transition in my life, where money doesn't buy love or happiness. It was just buying things I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. I was living in ego, but instead now money allows me to shop as long as I combine it with the other currency. Money's one currency. Faith is my other currency. Faith is an object of energy I put into the flow, and I have faith that there's more than enough of everything for everyone. That's why I focus in on receiving to come through me with appreciation for everyone else.
Wow, that is quite a story, David. Thank you so much for sharing that, man. And I was talking to Cheryl just the other week, and we were talking about ego, right?
Yes.
And ego can do a lot of things. And I was saying before, ego became my amigo at one moment, and it just derailed, one part of my, my venture back in the day. So I can definitely relate to that. I mean, sometimes our egos can definitely get in the way, man.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I have a practice of ending fear. I want to empower and inspire people to be a ferocious Buddha. There's 4 steps to get out of your own way, to not make ego your amigo, to not edge goodness out of your life. And the number one thing is we need to identify what those fears are in our life. We have primary fears that Freud talks about. There's 4 primary fears, but what really derails us is the secondary fears. The need to be right, the need to be offended. I always say, I wish I could feed the world as easily as I feed the need to be offended. If you got a need to be offended, just step outside. It'll feed itself immediately. But the need to be separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, worried, all these different fears we need to identify so we can be ferocious and stop, drop, and roll. We know that we're in the ego, our minds, our bodies, and souls are on fire. So we got to, number one, we know what we do when we're on fire. We stop, we drop, and we roll. We stop and tell ourselves, I'm not going to accelerate in the wrong direction. I'm not going to create interference, void, shortages, and obstacles for myself. I'm going to drop down and breathe, get to peace, get to center, use forgiveness and gratitude as a bridge to that area of peace. And then I can roll in the right direction. One, to empower, inspire anyone else, to elevate others, to elevate ourselves.
Oh, I heard that, man.
I love it.
Me too. And
that's
David,
just like a mind shift. You literally have to have the ability to look at something from what I call a third lens, where you actually see the difference. And I know you built your platform on what I call core values, which is, you talked about gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication. So why is that so important to you?
Well, the reason is that number one, gratitude gives you perspective. One of the key ingredients in life is to be able to find the light, the love, and the lessons in everything. One thing I learned from, having the top podcast in the world, where celebrities, athletes, millionaires, billionaires all come to me, where I ran the most notable sports agency in the world, I learned one thing about all these special people. Their life sucks just as much as yours and mine. And so, and I think it's true. Their life, the same percentage of their life sucks as mine. The only difference is they're able to find the light, the love, and the lessons in the suck. They have a gracious attitude, and it's a common denominator, and it leads to them that an attitude that they must be what they can be. The second thing is forgiveness. So gratitude will give you that perspective, but forgiveness gives you peace, right? You know how much time, money, emotion, resources we waste in those ego-based emotions? I mean, just think about the need to be right. I know all the fellas out there, you think about all the time, money, emotion, and resources that we wasted, and relationships, by the way. I think 3 girlfriends broke up with me just because I had to be right all the time. One almost divorced me over it. That would have been really expensive. But imagine what we would be if we lived in peace, if we didn't waste all the time, emotion, and energy. And then accountability, that third one, is so important because it gives us control. Right? Accountability gives us control because we say with accountability, what did I do to attract this to myself? And what am I supposed to learn it? No blame, no shame, no justification, just simple accountability and lessons. Remember, lessons will keep on coming until you learn it. They result in pain. Pain is not a stop sign. It's a turn signal. Pain is telling us, hey, learn a lesson, move in a better place, a better direction, to a better situation. Too many people see that blame, shame, and justification as a stop sign, that pain, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial pain. All that is, it's telling me, hey, buddy, you got to learn something to get to a better place, a better position, to make your situation better. And then finally, effective communication is a duality. It's the definition to me of inspiration, to live in spirit. So most people think about effective communication is that I can motivate, inspire other people, that a tree has no branches. I'm connected, unified to everyone, regardless of their shape, their size, their color, their sex. It doesn't matter to me. I need to effectively communicate with the oneness of all of humanity. But where they drop off, where I was mistaken, is before I can connect to Cheryl or Eric or anyone else, I need to connect to what? The most important thing, the power, the source, the light, the love, the lessons, the people. You can define it however you want: God, Jesus, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, Buddha. I don't care what you call it, but there is a source of energy that is so powerful that it puts an energy in us and a love in us and a truth in us that we then can share to others. Once again, reaffirming that we receive first so we can give. You can't give what you don't have, and so you got to have more so you can give more.
That is amazing. This is such a great discussion. Hey, we're going to take a brief pause, just a quick break. So stay tuned, and we're going to hear more from David and how he's helping others be happy, even during this time of disruption.
Welcome back. We've been talking with David Meltzer, 3-time best-selling author, co-founder of Sports One Marketing, consultant, and business coach. And he's also a happy coach, I would say. Because
me happy.
That's all we want to do is be happy, right? At the end of the day, you know, and David, your mission is to empower over 1 billion people to become happy. That's quite a goal. 1 billion, not 1 million, but 1 billion people. So can you share what inspired you to fulfill this mission, and what are you doing to achieve just that?
Well, I've always been on a pursuit of happiness. I joke around with my friend Chris Gardner, who made another great movie called The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. I always told him he got that backwards because happiness is the pursuit. When people are pursuing their own potential, they're always happy. But I, at the time, had a 12-year-old daughter who came home really distraught because one of her friends had committed suicide. And to me, it was completely shocking. You know, I understand people who use drugs and alcohol and have depression, you know, PTSD, all the different challenges that people face that may cause us to take our own lives. But I could not fathom why a 12-year-old. What could a 12-year-old have happened? And so I started doing research on happiness and realized that suicide's the #1 rising cause of death in America, that taking our own lives has been, you know, an accelerated health and mental challenge of America. And so I started to study happiness, and I realized happiness is a virus. And it was the most powerful virus of all because it's the only virus that strengthens us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Happy people are richer than other people. Do you know that? It's not because they're rich. The happiness is what makes them rich. And so what I started realizing even more impressively about happiness is that the virus can be spread simply by witnessing it. So unlike any other virus, I don't got to wear a mask. It's still going to get to you. If you're watching me, I can make you happy with or without my mask on, and you're going to catch it and share it with somebody else. And it not only strengthens us, but it protects us. It strengthens our immune system. So happiness protects us against other viruses that may damage us. So I decided that I was going to go on a mission to create a collective consciousness in the world. If I could get over 1 billion people to be happy, then about 1/8 of the world would be happy. One particle of light overcomes millions of particles of darkness. If I can create a collective consciousness of happiness, I myself humbly could change the world. Now, as most things in my life that I tried to do as I became a multimillionaire in my 20s, and when I lost everything and told everyone to be weak till I made it back, people my entire life, especially when I told them I was going to play football in college, they laughed at me, they scoffed at me, they make fun of me. But you know what? In my entire life, they end up applauding me. And what I decided to do was to prove people that I could change the world. So I did the math. And I said to myself, if I could empower Cheryl and Eric and 1,000 people like Cheryl and Eric, who I know in their lifetime can empower 1,000 people, who I know in their lifetime will empower another 1,000, 1,000 times a million, 1,000 times 1,000 is a million, 1,000,000 times 1,000 is a billion. It's not that hard to get to 1 billion people if I can find people like the people that are here on the Power Up Show, and I can inspire them to inspire another 1,000. We can get to 1 million people altogether, and I don't think anyone's laughing at me anymore.
There you go. I just finished reading a book called A Friend of a Friend. And I watched a couple of your videos, and I have to tell you, I did exactly what you said. So just know now you have a new subscriber. But you talked about frequency, and that so resonated with me because you talked about how strong is your signal, and it seems like that's what you're talking about now. How strong is the signal that we have as individuals?
Yeah, it's so important. I met 3.5 years ago a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, who's well known in the entrepreneurial space and has built quite a personal brand. Gary V, that's right. Great personal brand. And I was doing some help with him on his sports agency, and I asked him for help on my personal brand. And he asked me an important question. He said, David, how many followers do you want? I said, I don't want any followers. He said, what do you want? I said, well, in 20 years, I want to be one of the most powerful, impactful 70-year-olds on earth. I'm 50 years old. In 20 years, I want to be impactful and powerful to inspire people. He said, well, how are you going to do that? I said, I need 2 ambassadors a year. I need my frequency to be strong enough. I want my spectrum to be talking to these 2 people, Cheryl and Eric, so that every year, Cheryl and Eric are going to find me 2 more people that are going to also find me 2 more people. What does that mean? That means in 5 years, I'll have 64 people like Cheryl and Eric getting me 64 people. But guess what? The exponentiality, the compound interest, the aggregated growth that occurs. In 20 years, I'll have 2 million ambassadors, not followers. I'm not a dancing bear mouthing music on TikTok. I'm inspiring people, empowering them to empower others. And in 20 years, I'll have 2 million people getting me 2 million people to change lives. That makes me one of the most powerful, impactful 70-year-olds on earth in just a mere 20 years from now.
That's amazing. We can have this conversation all day, and I know that we can't hold you too much longer. So, David, we have this game that we have on the Power Up Show, and it is called our Power Up Cards, where you will, from your location, wherever you are, you will pick a card.
All right.
And you got to answer that too.
Yeah,
we'll ask you a question, and you just literally go like that, and there you go. Let's be this one.
I love it. That is, you nailed it. We're connected. You picked the exact card.
I know, right? That's that frequency.
It's awesome.
And so the card reads, what random act of kindness could you perform right now?
cleaning up. I always, I picking up trash is absolutely the best thing to help people and to clean our environment, to give ourselves a sustainable place to live. There's a mess always around me. And so the random act of kindness would be to clean up for others here specifically where I live.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. I was just reading an article on sustainability. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I would just remember everyone on that point of random acts of kindness. The best piece of advice that I can give, I give trainings every Friday for free. Please join me. You see my email there, but it's simply be kind to your future self and do good deeds. That's the simple way to create happiness. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
And we're going to make sure that we put that in our comments as well as on our site too, because we're going to have this on our Facebook site as well as several other places. So we want people to actually come to you on Fridays and get inspired and be ambassadors.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much. You guys are great ambassadors and great friends. Eric, Cheryl, thank you so much for having me on the Power Up Show.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome. Absolutely.
Take care.
Been a great time. Have a good one. Take care.
I can just talk to him forever. I just love him. I love him.
I mean, I'm telling you, David's got, when you break it down, right, you're talking about 1 billion people, right? Mm-hmm. When you break it down, it's not like on the surface you think, well, that's a lot of people. How are you going to, impact that many people? But no, it's like if you talk to one person, that person talks to another person, it's like that exponentially, that's how you do it. That's how you add value. And that's exactly what Dave is doing. I commend him and his passion and everything that he's doing to impact and to make sure everyone is happy. Because that's what we can use right now, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the last piece that I love about his logic is that it's the same when people are setting goals, right? It's like you have this long-term goal, this mammoth goal, or what they call it, this big, hairy, audacious goal, right? That broad goal. Right. And you're wondering, how am I going to get there? But if you use that mindset of, well, let's break it down.
Right.
What do I need to do weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually? Then it doesn't seem that far-fetched. Right. And that's what I love it, when people bring those tangible ideas, when you can literally go, okay, I can absorb that. Mm-hmm. That's what powering up is about.
Yep. That's exactly what it's about. That's what we do. That's what we bring on guests like David to sit over there and give people these kind of tools that they need in order to power up.
Exactly. Eric, I guess it's time for us to go.
I guess we'll have to see each other next week and do it again, huh?
You have been watching Power Up, Maximize Your Potential. Hey, join us every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And if you're interested in advertising on the show, if you'd like to know how to be a guest on the show, then email us at poweruptvshow@gmail.com. Also, follow us on EM-Spire.com. Follow us in the Facebook group, EM-Spire. And then also on EM-Spire's Instagram. And you can follow us at Max Power Up, Maximize Your Potential Facebook. Hey, leave us a comment. Ask a question. We talked about it's time to pivot now. What is that pivot story? We're looking for pivot stories. So definitely make sure that you connect with us on all of those pieces of social media.
Right. Yeah, because this is the only place where innovation meets transformation, and you have one goal when you're working with us. And what's that, Cheryl?
That is to power up. Have an amazing day.